All right. Some things are getting really old and we need to talk about it. All right. It is the first new moon of 2026 at the time of me recording this. So, this is meant to be like a new moon message for my community. And I have so many things that I would love to share and talk about and really hop into. But this specific issue right here is is stopping everything. It's like a big block, okay? Uh, yeah. And that's the topic of your mindset, okay? So, some things that are getting really old to me that I would love for us to leave behind and this next moon cycle, this is what I would say we would should all work on, okay? Um, like I said, and that is your mindset. Some of the things that I am really sick of just going over and over and over again is the first thing is this battle of the sexes. It's just really old and I'm over it. Just the whole all men are this, all women are this. There are no good men left. There are no good women left. You know, you're going to be old with nobody. You're going to be old with your cats. You're going to be old with nothing. Like, if you just, I'm over it, okay? And, you know, if you have that mindset that it's like this all or nothing black or white thinking, that's technically what it is that something either is or it isn't and you're not seeing the shades of gray. That is an issue within your own mindset, right? And this kind of can go with other things, other topics as well, which I will get to. This is just the first one that I'm going to. But I've even heard some people just be like, I've given up on relationships. I've given up on men. I've given up on women. And now my collective are those that are dealing with CPTSD, so complex post traumatic disorder. So they've gone through some things, childhood neglect, childhood abuse. They've been in maybe long term relationships where abuse and neglect and things were a thing. So I feel like my content, what I have to say is trauma informed, if you will. It's more geared towards that. Um, so, my collective tends to have ADHD, they tend to have autism and whatnot. So, socially relating with people uh, can be a challenge for us. I'll just put it that way, right? So, my point of saying that is that this might be different than what a neurotypical type of person may have to go through. All right. So, mine is, you know, neurodivergent aware, trauma informed. That makes sense. I just thought I would throw that out there. Um, so whenever you're dealing with neurodivergence and whatnot, um, we tend to have this thing where we loop in our mind over certain things. We tend to have flashbacks of things that have happened, and society has really taught us that we are supposed to talk about these things and we're supposed to vent about these things when they happen, right? And I don't want this video to be really scientific and whatnot. I'm really just trying to get to the point of it and talk about it like in layman's terms. But those are the things that you absolutely should not do, right? Um, Talking about the trauma activates the nervous system. It activates your system back into that situation, right? And whenever we're activated and we're back in that moment, we tend to act like we're back in that moment, right? And what that ends up doing is it ends up blocking us from being able to move forward and being able to start over again and have beautiful new relationships, new connections, right? Um, Trauma really is a wound to the way we socialize, to the way we connect with people, right? It breaks our connections to other people. And then throw in being neurodivergent. Um, there's kind of, it feels like there's that fog there that makes it a challenge to be able to readily connect with other people, you know? Uh, but I say that to say this. Whenever you say these blanket statements, all men aren't this, all women ain't this, fill in the blank, not only are you giving your power away, but you're also drawing that to you, right? Now, something that was very valuable to me that I learned about was learning the law of assumption, right? Now, I personally, I love Neville Goddard and all that. That's what started me on this path, right? Was the law of assumption was whatever you assume to be true must be, right? So this has, and then we can get into the confirmation bias and all that. Like I said, I don't want this to be like a scientific video, but there's an actual strategy to how your mindset and what you're thinking and what you're speaking, how that directly influences your life, right? Now, whenever I've talked to some of these people that talk about they've given up on dating, they've given up on men, they've given up on women, it's just hopeful, it's useful, or it's useless. They're just gonna travel the world and live with their dog and none of those things. There's nothing wrong with those things, but as I'm sitting across the table from them and I'm working with them, I can feel the sadness, I can sense the sadness. It's like you're not fooling anybody but yourself. All right, you don't want to give up. You're secretly hoping that all men are trash. You're really hoping that the next woman around the corner is going to be for you, right? So why are you thinking these things and saying these things? Those two things don't match. And I know that it's defense mechanisms. It's trying to come off as we're rough and tough and we don't need nobody and this, that, and the other, and you can't trust nobody. And all that is getting old to me. Like, it's time to put that down. Like, whenever I hear someone say that they can't trust nobody and there's nobody to be trusted, what I know now to be true and what is true is that what you're really saying is that you can't trust yourself, right? Whenever I hear someone saying that, you know, they're all these wonderful things, they've got a job, they're smart, you know, they go down this list of all these external things that make them awesome, but they can't find anything and there's just something wrong with everybody else. It's exhausting even thinking about it. Like, for one, it's exhausting, you know what I mean? And if you're going into social situations with that on your shoulder and with that on your chest, I can see where it's like a literal block, like it's a repellent from otherwise awesome people. And let me let you in on another secret that I know, that whenever I'm hearing someone go down all these traits of wonderful things that they have and that nobody else can, that's a lack of self-awareness, right? It's like, all right, you've been with 4 different guys, 4 different girls. And notice I'm going both guys, girls. They're both. It's weird how y'all are both saying the same thing. Like, anyway. But it's like, you know, you've gone on 5 different dates. The last 3 relationships all went down the same exact path. Now, respectfully, I've had to learn this too. And you are the only common denominator in that situation. All right? Last 5 relationships, they all went the same way. Do you follow me? That's you. That's you. That's you needing to develop some type of self-awareness, all right? They're just needing to look at yourself. Now, I'm not saying to blame yourself and whatnot, and boundaries and being able to speak up for yourself and knowing what you want are very, very important and whatnot. But there's something to be said if all the last guys just wanted to jump into bed with you right away. I'm just using that off the top of my head because that's something that happens. And it's like taking into account, like, how did you vet these guys? Where did you meet these guys? And what did you talk about? Like, are you paying attention to the signs? Like, how are you coming off? Like there's no one really to change but yourself, right? Um, Same thing with the guys. When every single woman they've gone out with just wants to take from them, right? So, I mean, if you're starting off every encounter with a woman, you're taking her on a coffee date, and the first thing you ask is, what do you bring to the table? What's your job? This, that, and the other. Now, those are questions that are going to signal for someone that wants to just take, okay? Now, I'm not going into the nuances of it. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that if your mindset is that nobody's good, if you're speaking that nobody's good, there's some self-awareness there that needs to be built. You need to have some trust in yourself. And, part of something that was really powerful for me was learning about, also after learning the law of assumption, was learning about self-concept, right? So a lot of us don't have a very healthy self-concept. And as I said at the beginning, my collective has been through CPTSD, we're neurodivergent and whatnot. Those of us with ADHD and whatnot have been told almost our whole life that we're lazy. Like, why can't you be like so-and-so? Get your ish together, or we have really only been valued for what we can perform, what we can provide, what we can give, what we can do. And as soon as all that is over, we're not valued anymore. It's very transactional, I should put it that way. So many of us don't have a self-concept that actually believes that we can heal, that we can move forward, that there's good people out there, that we're awesome, that we deserve good things, that it's okay to make mistakes, that I'm learning from my mistakes, that there's opportunities out here. Those are beliefs that come from a healthy self-concept, right? Oh man, I'm hoping the noises out here aren't too distracting, but it is what it is. I'm outside. So yes, healthy self-concept, right? And just simply, I don't know, I'm even believing in, like, thinking about using the word simply, because for some of us, believing in ourselves and whatnot isn't as simple as it should be, right? And another thing that has really helped me, so we've talked about the law of assumption, we've talked about building a healthy self-concept, just confidence in yourself and in your own ability, and not being toxically positive or naively positive, but just having a good outlook, on life. Like, sure, things are hard right now, but I believe in my ability to work through this. Like, I believe that I have the resources I need. And if I don't, I believe in my ability to find them, right? And what was I going to say after that? I had to pause and figure out what my third thought was. But yes. Now, moving into our next point would be that, as I was saying a little bit before that, was that we don't want to be naively positive and whatnot, and we don't want to bypass things, because I do see some of these techniques being used as bypassing, as us not genuinely facing these issues. Now, most of the theme of this video has just been about the battle of the sexes, we'll put it that way. But I've even seen this same type of mindset go into like healing work. you know, and, people even, needing to find a job. It'll be there's no good jobs out here. I can't find a job. Like, what I'm doing everything. What's wrong with these people and whatnot. And it's like, could it simply be because of what you're thinking and what you're saying? Like, are you like, just really think about it. I'm not asking you to, make any changes or anything right now, but the theme of this video is really the mindset. Okay. Now, if there's something going on in your life that's cyclical, like you notice that it just keeps happening over and over, different people, same spirit, right? You keep dating the same person over and over again. Or um, there is a certain issue that you're working through, but it keeps coming back up. What else? You're trying really hard at something, but it's just not working, right? Please really consider your own participation in that, right? Like, how are you thinking about this? How are you talking about this, right? Uh, these things really matter. And if you don't think so, I challenge you to give it a chance, to give it a shot, right? Just go 3 weeks, 3 weeks where I'm really just going to work on my mindset and, building up my self concept, looking at what I assume to be true, uh, working on my nervous system regulation, and see what happens, see how things shift. Because I've seen it like with the people that I'm working with, is that is probably the whole, let me put it this way. I can really tell whenever, like, who's going to succeed and who isn't. And it's not about how smart they were. It's not about how much money they have. It's not even about how attractive they are. It's literally really in their mindset and what they assume to be true. I know whenever I first started my healing journey, and my story is a whole different video, but, you know, I had the same exact conversation with someone that was like, those are the things that you need to work on first because nothing else you do is going to work. So some of my first affirmations and things that I were writing about and talking about was that I said things like, in 2 to 3 years from now, I will have healed and moved on past this. I said things like, I'm beginning to believe that healing is possible, right? Said things like, I am learning to be a good person, right? I am learning to believe in myself. Um, so, in saying things like that, it aligned me with people that had exactly what I needed, right? Because otherwise, if you continue just saying that, nobody can help me, I'm this, I'm that, then nobody really can. And you will just continue that vicious cycle, right? And another thing I wanted to add, because this is a little longer than I was expecting it to be, which is great, but is that, to piggyback off of what I said earlier, was that, you being the common denominator in all these different situations, and that's accountability and self awareness that you need to build within yourself. Take that as a good thing, right? Because whenever, I feel like I said this in the video, we give our power away, right? We're powerless when we say that there's no good this, there's no good that, there's no such thing as healing, I can't get no job, I'm trying everything. Like, that is powerless speak, right? You give your power away. And whenever you take control of your assumptions, of your self-concept, of your words, of your nervous system regulation, you take your power back, right? And the good news is that you have control over what happens in your life, right? It reminds me of that thing that Neo said in The Matrix when she asks him if he believes in fate, and he said no because he doesn't like the fact that he has no control over what happens, right? So I'll leave you with that, okay? So over this next, moon cycle, I would highly encourage you to dedicate it to improving your mindset.